Hey guys, Languagehacker here. Blizzard has added 4 new battle-ready decks to the shop, which are decks that are completely built out that you can purchase for a set amount of money based on whatever region you're in, that you can literally purchase and queue up on ladder immediately. And it gives you access to all of the cards in that deck, and you own those cards in your collection. So today I'll be going over what these 4 battle-ready decks are, the classes, the cards that are included, and hopefully I can help you identify which of these you would like to purchase if you want some cards or a playable deck on ladder. So let's hop right in. So let's quick overview. I've named each of these decks based on what the deck kind of does. There's a Quest Rogue, a Quest Hunter, a hand buff Paladin, which I abbreviated to buff, and an aggressive Aggro Druid. I've listed here the amount of dust that you actually get for each of the decks. Well, you don't actually get dust, but there's a dust cost associated with each card, and based on the cards that are included in these decks, I've associated the dust number for you guys to get a general sense of the value you're getting card-wise from these decks. So higher rarity cards cost more dust, rares, epics, and legendaries cost more than commons. And basically, this isn't a great indicator of what deck is best for you, because ultimately this should be a factor of what collection you have. And based on what cards you're missing, you can choose one of these decks that kind of, is not overlapping cards that you have, and hopefully it is a complete not overlap with what you have, but the number still kind of helps to give you a sense of what kind of cards are being included. That being said, all 4 of these are viable decks, so if you are interested in just playing a specific deck and you like one class or the other, pick whatever makes you happy. I'm just here to give you a bit of a dust analysis and also tell you relative ladder viability. They're all, again, very playable decks, but I would rank them for those who would prefer to play technically like the better decks or whatever. But yes, they're all playable. So let's hop right in. Quest Rogue is the most expensive dust-wise. Also good to note that I'm excluding core cards from these dust costs. Core cards are cards that have been, well, the core set was introduced to the game actually this year, but basically every year the core set rotates to a set of new cards that is available to all players. So any cards from the core set in these decks I have not included in the dust cost. If you add that, it changes a bit, but everyone gets those for free anyways, so it's not worth including those in the price, because or in the dust analysis, because you already have them, so it doesn't make sense to include them. Anyways, yeah, Quest Rogue is the most value dust wise. Next, Quest Hunter, buff Paladin, and Aggro Druid. Let's go ahead and analyze these real quick. So Quest Rogue, you have a quest, find the imposter. This is basically a deck oriented around playing SI7 cards, and the quest line is sort of a story following Spymaster Scabs as he's trying to find an imposter in Stormwind. This is just a tempo-heavy deck. You play stuff on curve, you try to progress the quest, you get some fancy gizmos from the quest that help you do stuff. One is like a sap, one is a weapon, one gives you some card value. There's some cool gizmos. Basically, you play stuff on curve, you try to complete the quest, and then you try to close out the game with like a Battle Master or the Spymaster Scabs. Deck's pretty solid. I like this a lot. This was actually kind of meta a month or so ago. It's still quite playable right now, but with the mini set, some new decks are being tried out, so we're not really sure what the meta is going to settle on. However, this is probably a very playable deck. I don't think I'm going to go in depth on what each of these things do, but just a rough overview. Next up, Quest Hunter. This is just, again, solid deck. It's not super popular right now, but again, we don't know where the meta is headed. It was quite popular a few weeks ago, and people are still playing it now, honestly. This is actually the deck that has the most legendaries, but there's also quite a few core cards in here, which is why the dust is a little bit lower than the Rogue one. And that being said, if you're a Hunter player, Rinling's Rifle and Barak Kodabane are running a lot of Hunter decks. There's not too many viable Hunter decks, but most of them that are played do include these 2 legendary cards, so that's pretty good to have. Slade is not really used anywhere else, and otherwise, it's a quest deck. You basically try to buff up your hero power to make it 0 mana and refresh whenever you play a spell. So you end up after completion, you end up getting a hero power where you can go hero power, spell, hero power, spell, hero power, spell, and the hero power is 0 mana, so you can crack out a lot of damage. Kind of cool in that sense. Fun deck. Next, buff Paladin. Personally, I like this deck the least because it's not very, you just don't do that many fun things. You can make some big minions with hand buffs, which is why it's buff Paladin. A lot of this is just oriented around having Prismatic Jewel Kit or Bannerman and buffing the cards in your hand, getting some big things on board, and then ending the game with Battlemaster, giving your minions Wind Fury. New addition, and it's worth noting, Mr. Smite from Deadmines. If you do not, if you don't plan on, or if you haven't gotten the Deadmines mini set, Smite is in that. And if you don't plan on getting it, this is a good idea of a deck to pick up if you're looking to also optimize like new stuff, new legendaries that you're picking up, because Mr. Smite is a pretty good legendary, and I'm fairly certain he's going to be used in a few decks. That being said, I don't like this deck in general, and I don't think you're getting that much value dust-wise if you have a lot of these cards. So I wouldn't buy this deck just for Smite, but if you're on the edge and you think, I don't know which way to go, you could consider this one just because Mr. Smite's in. And finally, Aggro Druid. This is the cheapest dust deck, but this is actually what I would consider the most viable deck right now. A lot of these other decks that I've shown so far were more popular in the past. But this deck has more recently become popular and is still played quite a bit right now. It's not this quite exact list that we see on ladder, but this is maybe 2 or 3 cards off, and those cards are also common. So even if you do pick this deck up and you know you're upset that you don't have the last 2-3 cards that the meta decks run, it's very cheap to just pick 2 or other ones up. I think it's like a Noitrons and then like 1 other card. So don't worry about, you know, switching this to a meta deck. Like this is just fine the way it is. You also get a nice little legendary here, Cornelius, which isn't really run too much, but it's a legendary. They might have thrown that in to try to make it a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little more enticing value-wise. But even though this has the least dust, this is what I would categorize as the most competitive deck here. So if that's something that is, you know, what you're looking for, I would recommend this. So just a quick reminder, in terms of dust value, if that's what you care about, Rogue is the best, and that Druid's the worst. If you care about viability, we just do one of these, and then I think Druid's the best, followed by Rogue and Hunter, which are pretty close, and then I think Buff Paladin's probably the weakest of the 4. However, this is all pretty relative, and for players who don't have a full collection, I imagine you're not playing at a super high competitive level, so it's more about having fun for you. And honestly, all 4 of these decks are fun. So look through this, maybe check out some YouTube videos that other people are doing with these decks, maybe check out Twitch, see if anyone's playing these decks, and from there you can get a better idea of what you might enjoy. Or if you just identify with one of the classes, Druid, Rogue, Hunter, or Paladin, and you just say, you know what, I like Paladin, I'm going to play Paladin, go for it. I'm just here to give you a rough overview. Hope that was useful. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.